everyone, and welcome to the Bitcoin Marketing Podcast. Now with a new face. Yes, I am now the new host here. My name is Joel Kai Lenz. If you have not met me yet online or at a conference, make sure to say hello. The links will be linked everywhere. And today's show is supported by BTC Prague. If you use the code Bitfluencers, you get some cheap sales off your ticket, as well as by the Bitcoin Advisors. Fantastic service if you need your help there. There is also WaveSpace, your easy way where you can swap Bitcoin directly with your Euro bank account. So make sure to check them out as well. As well as by Loan My Coins, where you can unlock Bitcoin's value safely and simply. And last but definitely not least, we also have to say thanks to the guys from Bitvault. Today's conversation is with Chris from Seedor or Bitturance, a great guy if you want to learn more about memes. And we did some little bit of a digging why he is so great at creating such comedy. Enjoy the show, and I'll see you in the end. Chris, welcome to the Bitcoin Marketing Podcast. How has your day been so far?
Thank you for having me. My day has been busy.
Busy is always good. And I thought about doing the intro for this one, and I was like, what can I say about Chris? He's like arching over everyone at conferences. He has the best backup methodologies out there. But I came about with, you're the meme and comedy master, because you obviously also host a lot of shows. And I would say an understatement that no one else says, you're one of the best dressed Bitcoiners. Is that a fair assessment?
So, quit the glazing, please. But yeah, take it. Yeah, so I run a couple of companies. I run Seedor and I run Bitturance. We do Bitcoin insurance and I do Bitcoin custody. And I talk to people about best practices, how to inherit Bitcoin, prepare for inheritance. But yeah, my ikigai, my joy is quiz show host and meme lord, maybe. Yeah.
Where did that came about? Were you always interested in like hosting comedy and these kind of things?
I don't know. So I'm. It doesn't appear like that. I'm a very introverted person. After every conference, I need to go into my cocoon. But for a brief time, I like to entertain people. I don't know. I'm a child of divorce. Maybe that is something that has not been resolved in the past. But I like quiz shows. I grew up watching Jeremy Paxman's University Challenge, and of course, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? All these quiz shows. And I thought, this is a fantastic format to spread knowledge about Bitcoin, make it like infotainment because people like want to learn something and enjoy, their time. And now I get to do it on big conference stages, which is like, I enjoy.
Do you still get the jitters if you're on like, oh shit, I'll be speaking in front of a couple of people, or is it pretty cool down now?
So, yes, I still have stage fright. I always have to that's not good advice. Don't listen, but I'm always slightly inebriated. Like I always drink a beer beforehand and then it gets much easier. But yeah, standing, I stood in front of 1,500 people or so, recently in Amsterdam. And it's crazy, to see out into the audience and the blinding lights. And then you hear your own voice through the speakers. Again, I'm an introverted mechanical engineer.
Nice. And that, so that was basically my starting point, your background, because I think there's a lot of stuff to talk about there for people who don't know you yet. And then slowly moving into the memeing and the content creation, because you're also now just putting out content where you don't always make people laugh, but you also inform. But the whole connection, Bitcoin security, obviously, if people follow you, you'll also see that you're quite knowledgeable about Bitcoin as a whole. Has that anything to do with your background? You said the engineering part, or is it really just, I want to do a good backup thing and I find insurance on Bitcoin interesting? Where's the connection there?
So the connection, I'm the first non-teacher, non-forester in my family. Like most people went into a school or in a tree school. And I decided, I'm not a good teacher and I'm not interested in children. Through the back door now, I try to educate people. Maybe there's something in my genes. And I've learned in your university, for me to understand something, I need to be able to explain it easily to other people. And I have a very good network of really, really smart people around me, with whom I talk, with whom I exchange ideas, and I try to learn from them. And I learned, for me, it's very egotistical for me to understand that I need to be able to explain it in an ADQ variety. Like, I need to break it down much simpler. And that's what I try to do. Like, I listen to people that develop on Bitcoin, and I'm not a developer, but I try to understand it for myself. And in that process, I try to again do infotainment. I like memes that give me like a little bit of education, and not just a crude meme, but I also do those. And I mean, some people like him, some people don't, but that has been my creative outlet.
Yeah, I love the one meme. I'm guessing you did it with like an AI compilation where you were basically Bourdin, the unfortunate deceased chef, and sort of the meme where he sits there somewhere in France, and it's usually the American mind cannot comprehend this, and you turn it into basically, hey, in Europe you can also spend Bitcoin, because that's a big aspect, of course. Where do these ideas meet you, man? Whenever I see a post of you, I go like, Jesus, I would never have thought that far ahead.
I mean, so this was the Anthony Bourdain meme, which is ironic. Like, he's an American chef, but he is encapsulating the European spirit, like just sitting in a cafe having a baguette jambon and maybe a cigarette, and like the European lifestyle. And I was asked by Sergey of Bitrefill, hey, can you we have this Bitbox integration now. You can spend your Bitcoin directly in the Bitbox app through our Bitrefill vouchers, and then you can spend it like literally everywhere, on travel, on Amazon, etc. And I'm a big proponent of using Bitcoin as money. I'm well aware that we are still in the monetization stage where like it's more of a store of value, but we need to also build the infrastructure like BTC Pay Server, and like we have to have venues where you can spend it in order for it not to just become an ossified shiny rock. And so I thought, how can I portray this? And again, like, I'm known for being a Euro poor. My American friends always roast me, and I thought, let's use this idea and then do a quick tutorial. And to me, the biggest news on Bitcoin last year was that Jack Dorsey had all the Square merchants accept Bitcoin now. Like, at 4 million point of sale terminals, you can spend Bitcoin, which is amazing, but it's exclusive to the United States, and the American defaultism, I need to make fun of that. And we have Bitrefill globally. You can top up your SIM card and all these things. But enough with the shilling.
No worries. Shill away. You mentioned a very, I think, keen aspect that you or listeners have also heard on this podcast, where you should encourage people to use Bitcoin as money. And I thought about, are you then also one of the proponents who goes like, you should only use it like on-chain, you should use it in a fully custodial way? Or do you have some wiggle room where you go like, if you're going to spend $100 anyway, you might as well use a custodian? What is your approach there?
So I'm not judging anybody who spends Bitcoin in any form, whether it's on Liquid or it's self-custodial or custodial. Like, of course, there is the true cypherpunk way of having your own Bitcoin full node without relying on any other infrastructure, sending Lightning payments globally. But I realize, we are privileged, we are nerds, we have the time to set these things up. And I do not believe Bitcoin is at the UX stage where everybody can achieve that. When I orange pill people, when I talk to people about Bitcoin for the first time, usually it's in my car, because I'm like a frequent traveler. I go all over like Germany and Austria and go to conferences, and I have a big car and that's mostly empty, and I do ride shares. And I, of course, the conversation sooner or later shifts to Bitcoin, and I can connect with anybody from all walks of life. Some point, I can wedge in like the brokenness of our money, and then at the end of the ride, usually they would pay me in cash for this ride share, and I then return the favor by giving them the equal amount in Bitcoin. And I do this exclusively on like a custodial wallet like Blink, because to onboard people with like Phoenix or like Blixt wallet, which are like self-custodial, which would be better, like you have to open theoretically a channel, you need a much larger sum, and they pay me like $10 and they get $10 in Bitcoin. And with Blink app, it's custodial, but there is some education in there. You can use it on-chain, you can use it in Lightning, and you're like ready to go. And I've learned that this is the number one thing that gets people hooked on Bitcoin. Like, you can talk about it, you can get people excited, but you need to have your own Bitcoin. Like, the first transaction, you will remember who gave you your first Bitcoin or where you bought it yourself. And that is such a powerful thing. And I really believe that eventually they will, okay, this weird guy gave me $10 in Bitcoin, I will have another look. And so, yeah, any form of Bitcoin exposure is fine with me.
Do you still remember the first time you got into Bitcoin? Like, who gave it to you, where you bought it?
Very well, and I've talked about this very often. So I had a friend in university who was like really way before I realized that there's a need for like a money that is truly decentralized and permissionless. Like, he was, I would say, like libertarian, and it took me 10 years longer to get into this kind of mindset. But like, he gave me my first Bitcoins, plural, a lot of them, because he was mining them for free, basically. And I did not understand it, but then I saw like, hey, the price has gone up. It was like 2011, and I needed a new computer because I finally, I'm an adult now, I can buy things. I wanted to play Skyrim, and I bought a computer and like spent 1,500 Bitcoin on a graphics card, which I still own to this day. And this was literally the last video game I played, because then the adulthood kicked in. I didn't have any time. It's like the worst purchase in the history of purchases. However, people need to use it as money. And again, Laszlo bought like a pizza for 5,000 Bitcoin. So, all these things needed to happen to get to the point where we are now. And even though I sold them way too early, I know for a fact I would have, sold them at $10 or $50. So anyways, I would not have 1,500 Bitcoin to this day, I'm pretty sure. And I don't have them. If anybody tries to rob me, again, I'm a Euro poor.
Yeah, I think this was a German podcast I've seen of you a couple of months ago or weeks ago at this point, where you also said, if we're totally honest, everyone hardcore into Bitcoin, and this will be a majority of the audience, we got in it for the gains in the beginning. And it's totally fine if you want to onboard people this way. And eventually, like your friend did with you, or you do with the people with the ride share, they will get to that point where they go like, okay, there's a little bit more to that story. And how do I get more, essentially?
I got a lot of shit for that. Like,
yeah, I know.
Right now, I said there's two people that went into it for number go up and fucking liars. And this, I would say, with an asterisk, like, it used to be like that. Nowadays, there's much more education. There are some people that go into Bitcoin for the freedom aspect. We're all in it now for the freedom aspect, but there's now the possibility to be exposed to this. And there's a lot of people in dire need for proper banking. So it was like a something from my privileged, Western European, mindset.
Yeah, which is sometimes ironic if you then like read the replies to these things. I think people who are really using Bitcoin already for the freedom aspect, they get what you mean. It's always, I would say, a portion of people who then get triggered and respond, and in the meantime don't realize that they're actually amplifying your message. So it gets out to even more people. So it does fulfill what you want to do with it. But speaking of the pushback and stuff, and we can then guide it into some interesting topics, how do you deal with it if you do a funny meme? You then potentially get blocked by some people, or you just kind of scratch that itch where people go like, for fuck's sake, Chris, like, why did you do this again? Is this also part of your nature where you go, I kind of want to, I want to get that out of people, or is this just a result?
So, usually most memes are in a self-deprecating manner. Like, the person I make the most fun of is myself. And it is also like a characteristic that I look in people. They need to have a sense of humor. They have to have the ability to laugh about themselves. And I don't think I've been blocked by many people. Most people either think, yeah, that's a bad meme, or like they enjoy it. And people at conferences come to me and like, hey, that was a great meme that you made about me. Like, hey, thanks, and you enjoy it. But there are, of course, some people, that can't take a joke, and then I will eventually, stop. But yeah, it's just a way to, reach more people, because I've learned like you can write a long form article and you spend a lot of time on it. Nobody will share it, whereas a stupid meme that you might not even have spent more than 10 minutes on, like, will reach 1,000 or 10,000 people. So, there's no bad press.
Do you exactly in my day-to-day job? I can tell you this: there is nothing like bad PR. Do you remember one meme where you went, I spent like 10 minutes on it and it went super viral? Or is it really like the amount of effort you put in usually gets returned?
So I can guarantee you it is absolutely not proportionate to the amount of effort you put in. Like I think I was in Sumatra in a swimming pool, like having the best day of my life. And I thought, oh, I have a great meme idea. And like AI was like starting to be able to make songs, really realistic songs. And like, because Michael Saylor had this saying about du verkaufst deine Bitcoin nicht. Like he said a German like saying, you're not saying, and I thought, oh, this is a great, Rammstein song, and I spent like, I don't know, 5 hours like making a video, putting the face on him on Till Lindemann, and then I thought, this is an amazing meme, this will do numbers. I don't think it made 100 likes or so. And then I was like, on the back of a Gojek, like in Indonesia, you have these instead of Uber, you hop onto like a two-stroke engine thing, like endangering your life. And there was like what was it? Was it Donald Trump being shot and like he had like his ear was covered with a band-aid, and like on the back of this Gojek, I was just editing like the ear like opening up, like to see, or during his speech, like somebody is in his ear like talking to him, and it was just like Michael Saylor. And like this meme took like less than 5 minutes to make, because I have all the all the assets. Like there is no second best meme clip has been reused countless of times, and it did like numbers, which like, again, you need to be smart but not too smart. And you have to have a certain amount of luck, but I can guarantee you the amount of effort you put in, like, I don't know, like the theory of labor, value of labor, like it does not apply to anything, especially not memes.
That's a good history lesson there. Is there, before we close the chapter on meme, is there one particular meme where you're like super proud of, where you go like, that's the one in my top 10 galleries of memes?
I would always say like my last meme is my favorite meme. I mean, it's like picking among your children. Like I couldn't.
Nice, but you brought up an interesting name, which before hitting record we quickly spoke about, because you may or may not have also a controversial take with some recent sayings by Michael Saylor. Before we get into that, what did you feel about after the interview he did on What Bitcoin Did, where I think it's safe to say he threw a tantrum? What was your initial response to it? Because that must be a lot of meme gold right there.
Yeah, there was a lot of meme gold, and Danny, like he asked him a question. Hey, do you think other treasury companies, like you change the playbook now with like your new, like he concocts all these different derivatives using AI, and like he's super smart about it, and like he has all these financial instruments. And he was just asking like a very open question, and Saylor flew off the handle and told him like, "You're ignorant." Like it was very funny to see that, and a lot of memes came out of this. But yeah, I mean, he is an interesting guy. He's super smart, and usually, like when he's on TV, like he knows to which audience he's currently speaking, and he knows how to dance on all these different floors, let's say. And I think like in hindsight, I don't think he would have repeated the things that he said, because I think he was generally like just misunderstood, or like he misunderstood Danny in that sense. But yeah, I mean, he's the biggest gift to memery.
I was just about to say his AI images alone give you a lot of templates to work off.
Yes.
And what do you think about his recent statement where he basically said the biggest risk to Bitcoin is not, nation states stopping it, or I don't know, bans and stuff, but it's basically from within the developer community? There's a lot of hot takes there. I'm interested in yours, Chris.
I mean, he had this take in the past. I think at the Op Next conference, he said like he would not donate to developers. It's perfect as is, and I strongly disagree with that. Like I can understand from where he's coming from, because like he has 700,000 Bitcoin and it's fine for him. Like he does not need the permissionless nature of it. He does not need the private nature of it. He does not need the monetary aspect as a medium of exchange. He only needs it to be scarce and limited and a good store of value. And I fully support being egotistical. Like if you want to see changes in Bitcoin, they should purely be because of your own needs, and you should not presume what other people want in Bitcoin. Having said that, I think what he means is, because he said like the greatest risk to Bitcoin is like a motivated developer trying to change it. And he is, I think, like confusing changing with like reckless changing. And the real risk is pretending like Bitcoin is perfect now, because it definitely is not. It's as good to a perfect money or as good as an attempt to create a perfect money as we ever had, and it's great. But like security is always a moving goalpost, because adversaries come and go, hardware improves, cryptography changes, even the incentives, the things that rule Bitcoin, they evolve over time. And so if you were to freeze the protocol just right now as it is, like we never update anything, like sooner or later, like this would shift the power from the users, from the developers, onto like the large custodians, to the miners, to the capital allocators. And then Bitcoin would, in my opinion, have failed. So Bitcoin survived all of these things because it changed, but it always changed really slowly and painfully and conservatively, and a lot of people burned out, and it needs to be public. And that's the great thing about like a permissionless open system. Anybody can contribute, and if the strategy to change something is sound and a lot of people subscribe to that, then we will also change it. Like ossification is not the way forward. It's not a good strategy, in my opinion.
Yeah, and one of your statements now just gave me a follow-up question idea. You remember when Jack Dorsey said last year that if Bitcoin is basically not utilized as a payment method, so obviously pushing probably Square with his vision in mind, it will have failed. Where do you stand on that spectrum? Do you think even if the next 30 years it will still be what it is today, or maybe it slowly grows into the role of being an alternative asset allocation for big time allocators, and then it will move into like, hey, you can also pay with it? Do you think that is a proper vision to move along? Because from what you've said now, it does take time. There is a lot of freedom of choice there, and it needs to evolve. Or do you like agree with Jack's statement there?
I mean, I would not say that it has failed. Bitcoin would still be great. It would have failed in the like very first sentence of the white paper where it says peer-to-peer cash. So in that regard, I fully subscribe to that. It's still, even if like it's not becoming the perfect like peer-to-peer exchange asset, it would still be an amazing innovation that could be used to build on top of. And again, I'm advocating for various soft forks in order to have improvements. I'm also advocating for existing like soft forks that like the great consensus cleanup, for instance. Like we know there are critical bugs in Bitcoin. We know there are, like, for instance, did you know that like a miner with around 35% of the hash rate could theoretically mine all of the remaining blocks in less than a month? Like there is the time warp attack. We know about this. There's an off by one error when we calculate like the difficulty adjustment. And there is a solution for that. Like in BIP54, we have a solution for that. And currently we see there's like 2 large mining pools that have above this threshold in hash rate. And with that hash rate, like you can do all these different other things too, like selfish mining, and all these things need to be the playing field needs to be leveled, and there is a lot of improvement in that regard. So moving slowly towards improving that, maybe having something like covenants to improve on layer 2s, on Lightning, and all these things, maybe in the next decade, hopefully. And it would not have failed. Again, to coming back to the initial question, it wouldn't have failed, but there is still, room for improvement.
It's a very diplomatic answer, and I think there's really great value in that we can all agree. Like, if you compare it to anything else in the world, the whole move fast, break things aspect, I don't know how many exchanges can you count in one head where that led to a disaster, from FTX to Mt. Gox to insert whatever you want to say here. And we should just take a moment of appreciation sometimes and move on. But speaking of that, you are on the go a lot. You're at conferences. You said it before, people come up to you. Have you ever noticed, especially in Europe, that there's a difference than if you attend a conference in Helsinki, for example, or if you go to Honey Badger, or you then in Germany? Is there like nuance to the things, or do your memes and your work speak basically volumes across all of the countries?
I mean, memes, if they're good, they're like a universal language. Everybody can, understand them. Like the best memes, they are like, again, Mr. Bean style, that there is nothing that needs to be translated. It just works. But yeah, there's a lot of different conferences. Like, and you and I, we're going like to Las Vegas. That's a big American conference, like 35,000 people are there. And then you compare that to Baltic Honey Badger, like the most OG cypherpunk conference, or like this very new conference in Helsinki, where like it's much more, close knit, and you have much better connection with everybody who's there, and you can meet almost everybody. Whereas like with Las Vegas, like you meet 200 people and then you miss out on 500 connections or so. They are different, but it's always like worthwhile for me, I think. And it's always great to meet your internet friends.
Yeah, definitely. Like you do go out from the cellar at one point and you do meet your friends. Are you more on the camp, small, but, comfy, you can speak to everyone, or do you also enjoy the big ass conferences?
I mean, I've attended both, and like if it were just me, like I run businesses and I have to, shill my wares, then I prefer, of course, the larger conferences because there's more people that I can reach. But if it was just me, myself, I would go to the smaller venues because you're like less separated from the people that you want to meet there. There's like, I don't know, if you go to BTC Helsinki, like you can go to the sauna with Adam Beck. Whereas in Las Vegas, like last year, I think the Secret Service opened all of our Seedor kits because they needed to sweep the floor because JD Vance was speaking. Like there's a difference to that. And I mean, I would encourage everybody to give the smaller conferences a try first, and then, see what happens.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you have a couple of businesses running there as well. I think most people from the early days will know you as the Seedor guy. Like literally the way I also saved you on my phone is Chris Seedor, so I exactly know which Chris it is I'm talking to. But you obviously also have Bitsurance. Where did that thought come for you, where you went, okay, backupping, very important key aspect, especially if you hold the self-custody, and there's also this insurance thing. What is the connection there?
Yeah, so the connection is I'm too stupid to write a line of code, and how do I contribute to this ecosystem? Like I've developed a really great backup solution. Then I do teach about Bitcoin inheritance and how to properly set up multi-sigs, because I want to have people equipped with the best self-custody setup. Yet there was always this one element that you could not protect yourself against cryptographically. Like we have these hardware signing devices, they're great. Like it's almost impossible to be like cyber hacked. But what if somebody kicks your door in? And I had like an incident where like people like try to stalk me, try to find out where I live. And I was thinking like, how do I, or in that situation, how would I react? Like I really love my Bitcoin, but I much prefer to have like unharmed skin. Even I would probably then give up my very small holdings. And insurance was the logical thing. And I was thinking like, why is nobody doing that? Like in the whole world, nobody was insuring Bitcoin in self-custody. There's only very few insurance companies to even touch Bitcoin. And if you look at the marketplace, like every exchange, every ETF, if they have insurance, most of them don't have any insurance. They have the bare minimum of insurance. Like you see Kraken and Binance and Coinbase, like they in total have less than $1 billion worth of insurance on their crypto, like everything included. Like there's an omnibus bill of like $1 billion, and they have 500 billion in assets, like grossly underinsured. And so I just saw this gap in coverage. I have a great team. We have insurance people. We have my CTO from Raspy Blitz, Rutsal. Like we try to build a Bitcoin insurance, first insuring Bitcoin, also insuring Bitcoiners. And yeah, moving from there, like I've met a lot of people in the insurance industry, get them excited about Bitcoin, talked to the existing players like at Avatars. They insure Bitcoin mining equipment and they insure exchanges. And like, it's a really great community where you help each other out. And yeah, that's what I'm currently focusing on is Bitsurance. I'm an insurance guy now.
You come knocking at the doors. I just wanted to follow up. Like, what is the experience like if you speak to really, I imagine guys in gray suits sitting in like a super low overlight office and just selling insurance? And is there a lot of like resonance with Bitcoin, or are they also like a little bit skeptical?
So they all had a look at it. Very surprisingly, they all had a look at it already. And they all had a preconceived notion. When you talk to them, then sometimes people talk about the digital Swiss franc will come and crush Bitcoin, whatever. And like states were like the usual FUD that you've been hearing since 2017. But then there's like risk analysts at these insurance companies, because they think in horizons of like decades. And like, we need to be insured for like a 200-year event like COVID or like some flooding or Fukushima. Like, we need to be prepared for all these eventualities. And of course, then Bitcoin comes on the map, and this entire, like, I've been doing this for quite some time, and you can pinpoint the shift in the mindset exactly when Larry Fink launched the ETF. Suddenly, oh wow, yeah, Bitcoin seems to be here to stay. Yet it is not possible for an insurance company to buy Bitcoin and have it allocated against the risk that they sign. That is a very interesting thing that I learned. Again, like, I'm an outsider, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I went into insurance. Luckily, I have a team of proper insurance guys that teach me. But in America and Europe, it is not possible for, let's say, Allianz to buy Bitcoin and have it count against their risk. It's actually like a liability then. Like, they do, like some investment arm of Allianz, they were the largest buyer of MicroStrategy, like, what was it? Convertible notes. And in the United States, there's Massachusetts Mutual life insurance. They bought like $100 million worth of Bitcoin like 5 years ago. And it does not count against risk. In China, you can do that. In Bermuda, you can do that. In Europe, you can't even buy gold as an insurance company, which is crazy. Like, because they say it's not liquid enough and it's too volatile. And I get the volatile part, but it's really liquid. Like, I don't think there's anything more liquid than Bitcoin. Like, you can trade it 24/7. And that's the missing key for me to do Bitcoin denominated insurance. But yeah, I think we lost half the audience just now talking about insurance.
No worries, they will learn something if they stick around. Even gold, they don't count.
They can't hold gold. Like, it's crazy. Like, they can buy treasury bills. Maybe the reason behind that legislation is, somebody needs to buy that shit. Like, we need to force them to buy T-bills in order to keep this sinking ship alive. In China, they are now allowed to buy gold. But yeah, Bitcoin, it's very far off. You can do this in Bermuda. Like, Bermuda is one of the largest reinsuring markets. And I really want to go there because it's nice weather. And there is a friend of ours, Zach, like, there's Meanwhile Insurance. They are fully Bitcoin denominated. They offer a whole life insurance in Bitcoin. You pay in Bitcoin. Your heirs get Bitcoin because it's a whole life. You're not going to see it, like, you have to die. And they just released their filings, and their entire statements is only the Bitcoin symbol. There's no dollars, which is cool.
That's so interesting. I didn't know this. I really thought, at least with commodities, they would have the wiggle room. But hey, you said it. Maybe the whole, treasury bill aspect is an important one there to that legislation. But you mentioned beforehand also the ETFs. And before I'm letting you go at the end, I also want to touch that briefly, because we covered you're very balanced in the view of, hey, if I onboard someone, I'm using a custodial, I want to get them into self-custody. We talked about the whole Michael Saylor debate there in the middle. And the ETFs are just sort of in the room. And in my environment, a lot of bankers who went to school with me and now they work in a big building, they all suddenly seem fascinated. Do you think the ETFs were like a necessary evil to get us over that line, that they will also now take a look? And does that evolve? Or do you think it's sort of the layer solution of the banking world? Like, we can use Lightning or Liquid, they can use the ETFs if they want to.
Yeah, I mean, I call the ETFs the Boomer API. Like, I wouldn't say they were necessary, but they were inevitable. We built this great thing, and like, what did you expect? Of course, states and institutionals, they want a part of this beautiful cake. I personally do not hold any ETF or ETP. I understand when people do, because it gives you exposure to Bitcoin. You are losing critical parts of the very great benefits that Bitcoin brings, like the sovereignty, like you can't use them, you can't pay with them, and maybe you get wrecked. You don't know. But it's better than nothing, I would say. So if you, I don't know, your 401k or Roth IRA or whatever, you need to max that out. It's probably better to invest in like Fidelity or like BlackRock Bitcoin than I don't know what kind of other company is out there.
Like if you would invest in the DAX or something, like a very lowballing thing that does not like, yeah, invest in this global ever liquid thing through a proxy, we might add for the listeners, or invest into 30, I don't know, family-owned businesses in Germany, like your choice. I would probably stick with the internet money derivative that they there offer. But lastly, Chris, before we then get into the answer, I also know, like, if you speak to people and you're engaging with people, you really have this passion to basically get to understand them where they're at and actually engage with them. And you're never too shy to speak to anyone who approaches you. But do you sometimes feel like there is a little bit like, I'm just not, it's not my day today. Like, I want to just, it's conference and I want to go to the hotel or home and chill. How do you deal with like the constant overflow of meeting so many new people?
I mean, it has not happened yet that I was like famished or like usually I can power through like a week of conference and then I go home and then I'm non-verbal for like a week and I like pet my chickens and like I know there is salvation at the end, but usually it's a great big high to meet people that you wanted to meet and talk to them. And as you said, like do not be shy, just approach people. And they will tell you to fuck off if they don't want to talk to you. Like, what's the worst thing they can say?
I also wanted to ask you about your chickens, and I thought about a good chicken joke, but nothing came up. But good that you mentioned it. So Chris also has, from what I heard from people, the most amazing chickens.
I have to admit, currently they're all dead because we're nearing winter, and I'm traveling a lot, and it would not be would not be nice to them. So they're like currently chilling in cold storage in my freezer because I do this also by my own hands, but
Damn. So you're really going. One could say now you're going to fully, proper treating my that sounds weird now, proper treating my meat. I didn't think about that sentence before, but people will know what I mean. Take care of the chickens.
My cocks. Yeah, sure. This podcast has been all over the place. Joel.
Yeah. It's a constant, like I had so many things to ask. I was like, you know what, we'll go with the flow. But Chris, before we head out, where is the best place that people can engage with you? And if there's anything left you want to say to the audience, please do so now.
Yeah, I mean, talk to all your friends and family about this great project. If you want to hit me up, I'm on X, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm via email. You can find me quite easily. You can approach me at a conference. As Joel mentioned, I'm freakishly tall. You can see me. So yeah, looking forward to meeting you guys.
Yeah, I think there is not a lot of people who probably are bigger than you at the conferences, so very hard to find that. No, that's actually not true. There was a guy in Helsinki, right?
Yeah, I mean, they do exist, the gentle giants. I'm only 6'7".
Only. Chris, it was great having you on. I'm already looking forward to seeing you at the next event. And thanks for all of our lovely listeners for being part of today's conversation.